welcome to another episode of Crushed Custard. It's a Saturday night episode of Crushed Custard, and tonight I've got an assistant, because I need an assistant. Now, tonight's numbers are chosen by Steve McGrath. Now, he picked two sets of numbers, because he picked one set on one video, one set on another. So, when I picked them out, I thought they all kind of went quite nicely together, so we're going to do a double episode. There's going to be 6 albums all in one go. 3 of them are LPs, 3 of them are CDs. That's again what I thought we'd do them in one thing. So first of all, my assistant, which is very much needed today. My assistant is this. This is my super bionic magnifying glass, which allows you to read the back of CD boxes, which you can't do unless you are the $6 million man, I don't think. So anyway, let's get on with today's choices. Now, they're quite interesting bunch. The first one is an album from 1970, which has become something of a prog classic, although at the time it was pretty much ignored. It's, as you might guess, the album with the Deep Purple connection today. I don't manufacture these, so there's always a Deep Purple connection, but it does somehow seem that we always manage to get at least one album that fits in the purple category. And the album that we've got today is Quatermass, 1970 album by Quatermass. Now, Quatermass, who were Quatermass, I can hear somebody say. Well, Quatermass, Mick Underwood was the drummer in Quatermass, and John Gustafson was on the bass, and a guy called Robinson was the other chap who was in there playing the organ and singing. There's no guitar player on this, and yet it's a prog classic. It's a really, really good album with lots of long, jammy, instrumental, proggy, spacey type songs. The thing that was initially the most interesting thing about this for a lot of people is the second track on it. Now, the second track on it is a track called Black Sheep of the Family. Now, Richie Blackmore from Deep Purple heard that and decided that he wanted to record it. And Deep Purple said, "We're not recording that, we're not a covers band anymore." So they wouldn't do it. So he said, "Well, I've got to do it on my own then. I'll make a solo record." That was how Rainbow started, because the track Black Sheep of the Family on the first Rainbow album is a cover of the track on this album. So in the links below, I'll try and put a link to all of this album if I can. I'll definitely try and find a link to the original version of Black Sheep of the Family so you can hear what the difference is. Now this, I must admit, it's one of those albums that I ought to have on vinyl, but I haven't. At the time, it was really expensive, I think. Well, I say at the time when I would have wanted to buy it, it was really expensive. Since then, it's been re-released a couple of times, I think, so it's probably more affordable now. And a lot of some of the albums anyway, the prices have sort of come down. You can pick an original one of these off probably about 80 quid, I would think now. You can get a perfectly good repress for 25 quid. Probably get also the one that came out in 75, because obviously after Blackmore recorded with Rainbow, there was suddenly more interest in it, and it was re-released then as well. I think with a slightly different cover. I'm not 100% sure about that. So anyway, that's the first album selected today by Steve McGrath, Quatermass. Of course, Johnny Gustafson went on to be in Hard Stuff, who were on the Purple label, and then he went on to be in the Ian Gillan Band, so even more Purple connections. And Mick Underwood, the drummer, he went on to be in Gillan. So there you go. Plenty of Purple connections, a really good prog album. And if you don't believe that you can make a prog album without any guitars on it, well, listen to this one, if you can. Okay, second one up today. I'm going to do the CDs first because I've got my trusty magnifying glass. The second one that came out of the rack is an unofficial, it's a bootleg. It's a CD bootleg from when Jimmy Page and Robert Plant sort of got back together in the mid-90s, if you can see that. Okay, this one is called Together Again 3. I think there are about 6 Together Again bootleg. This one's from Miami, and the recording date, this is where my magnifying glass comes in handy, was the 6th of the 2nd, 95. Now, I should have checked beforehand, because I don't know whether this is an American or an English version, so it could be the 6th of February, could be the 2nd of June. But it was 1995, we know that. Now, the sound quality on this is pretty good. Obviously, it's not as good as an official release, because it's an unofficial recording, but it's listenable. When I say listenable, I don't mean, oh, you've got straight to it. What I mean is you can actually put this on, sit down on the sofa or whatever, and listen to it. And you probably might not notice, if you're not an expert, you wouldn't maybe notice that it wasn't a proper release. So you can actually pick out everything. You can pick out the words, you can pick out the singing, you can pick out the guitar. It's a good gig. It's good, worth having. Track listing, mostly Zeppelin stuff, of course, as you'd expect. When you go, starts off with the Immigrant Song, and then a Wanton Song, Black Dog, Bring It On Home's on there, Thank You, Celebration Day, Dancing Days, No Quarter, I Know What Can I Do, all the ones you'd expect. Nobody's Fault But Mine, Song Remains the Same, Since I've Been Loving You, all that sort of stuff, Dazed and Confused. There's a couple of interesting ones in there. The Robert Plant solo track, Calling You, is in there as well. Black Dog and Cashmere are also on it, but the most interesting one for most people, I think, on this will be Shake My Tree. Now, as you will probably know, Shake My Tree was the opening track on the Coverdale Page album. And for many years there's been this supposed rift between Coverdale and Plant. Plant saying Coverdale ripped him off and all that sort of stuff. So to hear, and of course don't forget, David Coverdale had been in a battle with Jimmy Page, Coverdale Page, where Coverdale had sung a lot of Zeppelin songs. To hear Robert Plant singing a Coverdale song on this makes it worth having, just for that alone. Whether there are any links to this on YouTube or not, I don't know, but if you can track one down, it's pretty good. CD number 3 is this one, Christine McVie, In the Meantime, which I think, stand to be correct, I think this was her last proper solo album. I would like it. I think it's good. She, well, sadly died last year, she didn't think it was that brilliant, apparently. She thought she'd sort of not made a very good job of recording it. She'd recorded it mostly in her garage, I think she said. And she probably thought she should have gone to some big fancy studio and got some bigger name musicians on it. I think it's great, because Christine McVie used to write some brilliant songs, and not only did she write some brilliant songs, but she used to sing them brilliantly as well. They're always great. And this, I must admit, I haven't given this a spin for a while. So it's going to go on before too long. I probably should have listened to it before we did this, but I've had people say to me, when are you going to get the next video? When are you going to get this video out? So it's well worth tracking down this. It's really nice. I always had a great deal of respect for Christine McVie, because it must have been quite difficult for her being in Fleetwood Mac, and then suddenly Stevie Nicks turns up and all that. Everybody's sort of going on about Stevie Nicks this, Stevie Nicks that, Stevie Nicks the other. Christine McVie, wonderful musician, wonderful songwriter, wonderful singer. You'll probably better find a copy of this pretty cheap. CDs are not all that hard to get hold of, they're not normally that expensive these days. If you can find one of these in your second-hand shop or on Discogs or something, when you're a Fleetwood Mac Christine McVie fan, you will not be disappointed, despite the fact that she thinks she could have made a better job of recording it. So there we go, Christine McVie, In the Meantime. Okay, this is you see where I really do need the system, because I need to be able to pass links to people, so I don't have to keep turning my back and spinning. Right, we're going to go onto the vinyl now, and obviously we've got 3 vinyl selections, and first of all, I'm going to try and remember where I put them. Behind me. Right, this could be interesting. Now the first one, so I'll take it out of its packet so that you can see it better and it doesn't reflect. This is a band called Earth and Fire. Not Earth, Wind and Fire, just Earth and Fire. Now these were a Dutch prog band around in the 70s. They formed about 1970, carried on right through the sort of early 80s. They went a little bit towards that disco sort of sound towards the end. Their lead singer, a lady called Journey Cargman, went on to have a bit of a successful solo career, and I think she's a judge on one of those Dutch versions of Pop Idol or Stars in Their Eyes or whatever they're called these days. I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of the Jungle. What's it called? I don't know. Britain's Got Talent or something. One of those things. X Factor, that's it. I think she's a judge on the Dutch version of that. She certainly was. Whether she still is now, I don't know. This is almost a crossover. This is their fourth album. The first three were really sort of psychedelic and proggy. This one, they're just starting to play around a bit more with synthesizers, and it's maybe leaning a little bit more towards what they're going to sound like later. If you're going to have a listen to Earth and Fire and you haven't heard any of them before, I'd probably advise looking for the first three albums before you go with this one. A number of singles as well. I think it was something about a cat, something the cat, I can't remember what that was called as well. And Ruby Is the One was another one. But anyway, if you like female vocals and you like female vocals sung in English with a slight Dutch accent, and you like a bit of like proggy, melotronic sort of whatever keyboardy guitar, I mean it's what it is. It's an album from the 70s. It's just morphing from the early 70s, getting ready towards the late 70s. But it's well worth having a listen to some really good tracks on it. This one's called To the World of the Future, and it's quite interesting because some of the lyrics and stuff, if you read them, they're quite scary about some of the stuff that's going on now. It's almost like they've got a crystal ball or something. We've got track one is To the World of the Future, then we've got How Time Flies, then we've got The Last Seagull, and on the second side we've got Only Time Will Tell, Voice from Yonder, Love of Life and Circus. I'm not going to go into reading out some of the lyrics. I'll just say have a look online and you'll be able to see this is pretty good. This version of mine is from, I'm not sure when, I think it might be from Holland. It's got Journey Cohen on the vocals, Theo Hertz, Tom van der Kleef, and Gerald Coates are still there as well. They were the two that formed the band in the first place. But they're a good band that a lot of people in England have not heard of. Dutch prog rock band called Earth and Fire. Next up, now this, speaking of back to the camera, I shouldn't do that, should I? Now, this has been heralded by some people as the best blues album of the 80s. Now, what is it? It's this. It's Albert Collins, Lord Cray, and Johnny Copeland. Three excellent blues guitarists all together on the same album. Now the story about some of this is that Albert Collins had actually helped out Robert Cray and Johnny Copeland when they were a bit younger, so it's almost like a case of these are the pupils coming back to have a little bit of a jam with the teacher, and it's just brilliant. Even if you don't think you like blues, you'll like this because it's not that sort of woke up this morning, my dog is dead type blues. This is the real sort of good type, sort of good blues, really good rocking tracks with good great guitar solos, just really, really good stuff. A lot of it is original material. There are one or two covers on there. T-Bone Shuffle is the first track. The Mood is Full, Lines Den, She's Into Something, Bring Your Fine Self Home, Black Cat, Bone and Dream, Albert Sally and Blackjack. You've got Albert Collins, of course, Robert Cray and Johnny Copeland on the guitar, and you've got Alan Batts on the organ, Johnny B. Gaden on the bass, and Casey Jones on the drums. That's not the same bloke that used to drive that train in that kids program. So, anyway, where did I get this album from? Well, this album came out in about 1985. Now, I bought it, I think, in the early 90s probably, and I bought it from a record fair. It used to have a massive record fair at the NEC in Birmingham. And it was one of those places where you could stay all day. There was so much to do. You used to go around there in the morning and go around, buy bags full of stuff, and then go have a pint and a sandwich in the bar, and then go around and do the other half in the second half of the day, and then like go around with tons of stuff. It wasn't as cheap as a record and tape exchanging. Notting Hill was, but it was still a good day out. Now, I found a box of these And I say, there must be 50 of them. 50 of them in a box with the cellophane on, and a bloke wanted 50p a piece for them. Now, in retrospect, what I should have done is ask him how much he wanted for the box and bought the box. But I didn't, I just bought one for 50p and thought, that's got to be worth it for 50p. Obviously, I'd heard of Albert Collins. Wasn't all that up on Robert Cray at the time. I heard of Johnny Copeland as well. Of course, that when I got this, I put it on, and that then got me into all the Robert Cray albums as well. This is really good. There are lots of people said this is possibly one of the best blues jam albums ever, and certainly one of the best ones of the 80s. So hopefully there'll be some stuff on YouTube. We can stick a link on to it, but you won't be disappointed if you like your blues guitarist, if you like Robert Cray and stuff, and listen to him from early on in 1985. Really good stuff, this Showdown. What a showdown it was as well. Okay, the final album that Steve picked is connected to one of the others in a roundabout sort of way, because it's this. Debbie Bonham. Now, some of you might be saying, who's Debbie Bonham? A lot of you will be going, oh, I know who Debbie Bonham is. Debbie Bonham is the younger sister of John Bonham, the drummer in Led Zeppelin. And of course, we had the Page and Plant thing on earlier, didn't we, with all the Zeppelin tracks on. Now, this is her first solo album called For You and Me. She goes under the moniker of Deborah Bonham now because she's more grown up. Doesn't want to be called Debbie. Bombed out a few decent albums that are well worth tracking down. And this is good. This is what it is. This is an early, it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's an early 80s rock album with female vocals. So you can imagine what you're going to get. And it's good. It's melodic. It's nice. It's got a good voice. Quite some good songs. Really nice album. You can still pick this up fairly cheap, I think. She's done a couple of other albums since. And of course, she did a few guest appearances with lots of people. She did a good guest appearance with Paul Rogers quite often. Sometimes she would sing Be My Friend with him live, and on the, I'd like to say the most recent Paul Rogers live album, but he seems to be churning out so many live albums in the last 10 years. I get the order of them all mixed up. The one called Free Spirit, the one with the green cover, I think it's a treble album, and Paul Rogers is on the first two albums. But on the third album, half of it is Deborah Bonham, singing a few of her songs, and the other half of it is Jasmine Rogers, Paul Rogers' daughter, singing some of her songs. So it's not just three albums full of Paul Rogers. So that makes that one a little bit more interesting as well. But Deborah Bonham, that's her first solo album. So we've got a good mixture today. Most of these albums, I would have bought them a long time ago. This I must have bought. What's it got on the front there? Deborah Bonham For You, and around £3. So the label looks like I must have bought that from a second-hand shop, not the Notting Hill place. So I must have had that one since the back end of the 80s, early 90s, because I sort of transferred over to CD like most people did around 93 sort of time. So that would have been from before that. So there we go. That's it. A little bit of a few different things, a couple of proggy albums, a bootleg, a couple of female singer solo albums. That's your Saturday night listening. I'll put the links in the bottom and let me know what you think. And a bit that I always keep forgetting to do, me and my assistant, which I've dug out from the bureau, one or two of my viewers will be keen to see this. One of my subscribers called Alex, who I know has been itching for a look at our magnificent magnifying glass for some time, since I mentioned it a long time ago. So here it is. We'll be using this more and more as the years go on, I should think. And yeah, I'll put some links in the thing. And a bit that I always forget to do, I'll have to ask you to subscribe if you can, to like if you would like, and click another button. Or this buttons you're supposed to click. Apparently, it's all to do with the algorithm, with the people that click and one of the things that they watch, then that makes you come higher up the list in other people's searches. So we get more people to watch. And never forget, the more people we get to watch, then we can start getting some people in for some interviews. And also, one last little bit of exciting news before I say goodbye is that Stephen McGrath, who has been mentioned on my videos a few times before, we were in a discussion last night and we were very, very close to negotiating a deal for Stephen McGrath to become Crushed Custard's first guest presenter. So that could be very interesting. If you want to see a guest presenter on Crushed Custard and you want to see Stephen McGrath with all his knowledge of music, he knows far more about music than me. I could say it's because he's considerably older than me, but that would be unfair. All sorts of stuff. He's a purple nutcase, but he's also into all sorts of other stuff as well. So hopefully we're going to get him on to do something pretty soon. In the meantime, try and subscribe. If you like it, say you like it, please. I'll catch you all next time, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Until then, I'll catch you soon.